Do you mind if I ask why they wanted you to be on this medication? Did it have to do with the talking in class and all that, or?
Now's not really the time, but whenever, but I guess yes, God's telling me yes, it is. Do you want to tell them to do that or not? Okay, sorry, I'm not super. I have interference. Like, so I have my celestial masters around me all the time, telling me that I can and cannot say things. But so God sometimes he sees, but God's telling me that I can tell you about this. So when I was in the 5th grade, so I was whipped every Monday, no matter what. There's nothing I could do to get out of it by Trish, and so I on a Monday, I got a note. I got a 43 on a religion test. Imagine that, a 43 on a religion test. When I was Muhammad, I was Buddha. How
Yeah.
do you get? And I was married from the Bible. How do you get a 43 on a religion test? And I saw that. That's so fucking funny. I want to die. But so and so. I had to because I got such a low score. I had to take the test home to my parents to get it signed, and I was like, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna get a whipping now. And so, and so I just after school I told my friend Tiffany, I was like, I'm gonna run away. She's like, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. You know, when somebody tells you you're not gonna do something, you do it. And so I was like, yeah, I am. And so I after school I didn't go to the car, and I just walked away from school, and I walked until I could not. I mean, until there was pastures and on into the middle of nowhere. The police found me because someone was like, "Why is there a little girl walking around under the hill?" I ended up walking into a very, very, very dangerous place. That was like where people get murdered and stuff all the time. And I was a 10-year-old child, and I was just walking with my little lunch pail, my little pony lunch pail, and I think it's a coloring kit, not a lunch pail. And so. But yeah, so because this is what's ridiculous, and this is what's kind of started this psychological warfare on me. Not well, I mean, so because so my biological father, who's an animal, an absolute monster. He's like, well, everybody knew. So a lot of people reported abuse, child abuse. So when I was 4 years old, my aunt and my grandma they called Texas Child Protective Services and said this girl is getting abused badly by her adoptive mother. And so anyways, my father sued my aunt and my grandma. My aunt had to, for the next like 7 years of the thing, she had to take two extra jobs and work to pay for the court fee. So they got sued for reporting child abuse to Child Protective Services. And so the people in my town were scared to call Child Protective Services, like my teachers, but Child Protective Services were called a lot, and but nothing was ever done about it because my father was a doctor. So of course the doctor's daughter could never have anything bad happen. I'm not a poor person. I don't know. I'm kind of trying to make fun of somebody there. But yeah. So anyways, to I call him. No, I don't really call. I don't like to call him my dad. So because I ran away from school because I was abused, he took me to a psychologist at his gynecologist office that he was a doctor at. He's a gynecologist, obstetrician, and fertility specialist, and so they had a special psychiatrist that worked there for the gynecologist office, and so he took me to that doctor, and he told the doctor to, I don't know, whatever happened. So the doctor said I had a chemical imbalance. And I'm like, how do you have a chemical imbalance? I ran away because I was abused, not because I have a chemical imbalance in my brain. There's something fucking wrong with my brain. Something fucking, and so that's kind of where I just get it. My entire, not when I was in the army and all that kind of stuff and working at Apple and Return Path and all that kind of, like, before I went through my spiritual awakening, I never got really accused of that kind of stuff. But I did get from a lot of my childhood, and then now I'm now in the last few years, I'm getting accused of being crazy and mentally disturbed and have mentally imbalanced because of very real things that are happening. And then, I mean, like, as in I'm abused, so I ran away from school. That's a very actually psychologically aware thing to do and right thing to do. If you're I'm not going home. I don't want to go home. Why do I have to go home? I don't have to go home. So I walk away from school and I don't come back. So what's wrong with that? So why am I put on Paxil? So you should do some research on Paxil. Paxil actually makes you want to kill yourself. and it actually removes your emotions. So I was 10 years old. I was put on Paxil, and I remember we were going on a family trip, and I was sitting in our van. And I was looking out the window, and I was like, I can't feel happy or sad. I can't feel either emotion. And so I was just like, and so my middle school days and my freshman year in high school were just, I didn't have the experience of a preteen, and that's actually kind of a tragedy. And some people, I feel like something should be done about it, but I don't have an attorney. I don't have anybody that could represent me. I don't have any money. But I wish somebody would stick up for me and get back with these people, because so when I was 15, the day I begged my dad to work, I was like, he at his office, because they had a bunch of doctors at this clinic, and they had a job a huge file room, and so when you're legally in Texas, when you're 15, you can work. So I begged my dad. I was like, I want to go work. And when the day I turned 15, when I turned 15, I want to work. So summer got out on May 31st was my birthday, and the day I turned 15, I started working at the Victoria Women's Clinic, and that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I mean, it was the greatest thing that happened to me. I mean, I would say that was greater than being Albert Einstein. And actually, that wasn't a great thing that happened to me. I don't know why I would say that, but I would say that, yeah. So what happened was that I was surrounded by about 30 to 40 different women, like about maybe like 30 to 40 different women who were 3 to 4 times my age. And I spent every summer, every break time, every day, if I got a day off from school, I would go to work, and I loved work, and I worked there until I joined the Army. So because of that, my social life was I was actually around very mature women, and I became really kind of mature and adult early on in age. And so I didn't go out and party. I had a best friend named Ashley Meek. And in my senior year in high school, that was my first like real friend where I hung out with. Other than that, so yeah, I was around. I was, like I said, I was around surrounded by women who were 3 to 4 times my age, and does that kind of click?